Welcome back to another set of tips and tricks, and today I'm out here in the man cave with the Skeeter FX20, but we're here to talk about Humminbird. And one of the questions I get a lot is, how do I hook up my transducers, especially for a console mounted unit that you're going to run the transducer off the transom. With all the different boat styles, there isn't a one size fits all thing. So Humminbird offers it's an all-in-one transducer. You have, when you get into the down imaging or mega imaging sonars, you get 2D sonar, you get down imaging crystals, and you get the side imaging crystals all built into a single transducer. But what happens when your boat doesn't allow the mounting of the transducer traditionally as it was designed? There's an option, and it's called the Y cable. What the Y cable does, it doesn't do anything magical or anything inside the unit. What it does is it takes the normal connection that would hook to your unit, which brings the down imaging and the side imaging crystals to one side, and it splits off the 2D sonar crystals to a separate transducer. It allows you to run two transducers with a Y cable, and all the magic is done is through how the wires are split out of the back to two different ones. I'm going to jump over here. If you bought a boat and not sure how it's rigged, we're going to show you something, a quick easy check, so you can identify if your boat has a Y cable or a single transducer. We're going to come to the back of a Helix, but the Solix is the same way. You're going to have one port that is your transducer port. If you look on a Helix, it's this, what I call, looks like a little Monopoly house. It's going to be this connection right here, and that's going to connect into that unit. Now if we look at this cable, you're going to see it comes down and it actually Ys. If it Ys, you have a dual transducer with a Y cable setup. If it's a single cable coming out of the back of the unit all the way down, then you've got just the standard transducer connected to the back of the unit. If we look at the back of the Solix, they're labeled here, and you're going to see sonar and temp. This yellow port over here is going to be your thing. If you've got a single cable, that means we just got a single transducer connected to it. If it's got two wires, as we showed you back there, that is a Y cable, and it's going to split it to a 2D transducer and a imaging transducer. Doesn't matter what generation, what series, this is the way it's done to allow you to split the 2D readings to a second transducer. Now we're here at the back end of the boat, and on this Skeeter FX that I run, things get really busy. We've got talons, we've got outboards, we've got sponsons, we got a lot of things going on. The motor has a lot of places where if you're trying to shoot side imaging, it's going to block the signal. Basically, sonar is just like a light. If I shine this light in my pocket here, and you can see it. Now if I put my hand in front of it, you can't see it. That light is just like sound wave. If the light can't see to the sides, it's not going to get sonar readings. That's basically the easiest explanation. Is if you look across here and you can see all the way across the side, you can mount your transducer straight out of the package to the back of the boat. Flat transom boats work great for a single transducer. John boats, offshore boats that don't have a lot of equipment attached to the back end, or protrusions like the Skeeter sponson here that they have on their boat. Helps stabilize the boat, it keeps it from rocking and all that stuff. But that is one of the things that we have to deal with when we're looking at install. And that's where a Y cable comes in. We're going to jump down here under the boat and show you all this stuff that gets busy and how to mount your transducer properly with the Humminbird Y cable. Now as you look under here, you can see we got the back edge of the boat here. You know, you can see this edge, you can see this sponson. If we were to mount that transducer up high, it's not going to go through here. It's not going to be able to shine through there. If we mounted it forward here, it's not going to be able to shine there. You can see what I've done here. You can see the transducer right here. That is my imaging transducer right here, mounted to off the jack plate. It's lower than this sponson and behind that point. That allows me to get good readings all the way across, but it only works when I come off plane. If you want imaging readings on plane, it's going to have to be in the part of the boat that's in the water all the time, which is going to be this bottom edge down here. But the problem is, if I mounted it there, it's going to get blocked right here. As you can see, that's going to block the signal here. So I've got to get behind this point. This allows me to mount this imaging transducer all the way to the back, low enough that I get imaging readings all the time, but I can get my 2D readings for on plane from a second transducer. We jump over here, I've got all kinds of transducers. We got a down imaging up there. We got Mega SI for the helix on this side, and the Mega SI for the Solix on the other side. But running transducers, depending on how you want to mount them, there is a solution to get your 2D readings for on-plane readings. If you look right down there underneath them cables, that is where my 2D transducer is. You can see the epoxy there by the bilge pump. That is one of the best places. The best way to do it is to test it prior to installation. The easiest way to do that is get you a little Ziploc bag. Put you a little small chat or sand. Sand works really good in here. Didn't have any accessible, but you take this bag. Typically, you can use the pie-shaped transducer that's available, or you can use the round type transducer. And what you're going to do, flip this down here, is in the bottom of your boat, you're going to place that transducer. You're going to put the sandbag on top of it. And then what you want to do is disable your auto bilge and put a couple inches of water so it covers this. Put it in there and move it around in your thing. Like that install there, I had hoses so I could actually let the hoses help put pressure on it to keep the transducer from moving. Go out and test it. See if it works on plane. You know, you might find a sweet spot. There is things in your boat where glass mats overlap. You may have an air bubble. You may have a scratch on the bottom of it that prevent the sonar reading or create turbulence underneath where you're not going to get good readings all the time. I have yet to see a boat faster than the speed of sound. Sonar travels at the speed of sound, so if you get a good install, you can get good clean readings at all speeds. The things that affect it is water turbulence, aeration in the water from like a rivet if you're running an aluminum boat, or a scratch in the bottom that creates air bubbles that doesn't give good clean water flow readings across the face of that transducer. Once you find that spot, you drain the water, mark the location, put epoxy on the transducer and make you a little dam, put your transducer down, reuse that sandbag and put it in there and let it set. That is the proper way to install on a fiberglass boat a shoot-through transducer. If you're running an aluminum boat, you could mount this regular 2D style transducer to a second location that's down where it's more exposed. This transducer is a lot cheaper to replace than this big Mamba Jamba. So that's one of the things to consider. And why you want to use a Y cable is on plane 2D sonar readings with boats that have a lot of things going on the back. If you got talons, you got a flat transom with the motor mounted to the front, you may not be able to see to both sides. So if you can see to both sides, you can mount this transducer because it gives you everything. But it also exposes this to underwater hazards like stumps, rocks, that type of stuff. These transducers get really expensive and you don't want to replace them. So consider the Y cable option if you need two different transducer locations. There's also another transducer option that allows you to use a left and a right transducer if you have major blockage that you can't get around. You can run a left imaging transducer and a right imaging transducer. Cable's going to be just like this. Your 2D, your down imaging, and your side imaging is going to come from one side. The other side is going to produce your other imaging. So you have left side and right side with your 2D and down imaging coming from one side of that element. They're splitting the other element out to the other side. That's the Y cable options from Humminbird. It gives you the ability to customize your mounting setup to match your boat and your needs. If you don't need high-speed 2D readings, you can mount this up on the jack plate. Once it comes off plane and water gets across the surface, it's going to start reading again. A couple different options to help you install it on your boat. Allows you to get more out of your unit, more out of your investment, and enjoy more time on the water. I hope that helps you learn a little bit more about the Y cables. They're available for the Solix. Is going to have the round pin style. The Helix series are going to have the little house looking shape like we used on the Helix unit I was showing over there. That's the Helix setup. This is going to be your Solix. The previous generation Onyx all use this style of cabling. And you will need to get the correct transducer from Humminbird. They make a one that comes with the epoxy. It's a round puck. I just had this 2D one available to show you. But I hope that helped you learn a little bit more how to get more out of your Humminbird products and install it correctly. Your units is only as good as the install. If you don't install it correctly, don't expect the unit to make up for mistakes. Doesn't matter what brand it is. If you don't do the rigging right, give it the right power supply, set up the transducers correctly, you're not going to get the total peak performance out of that investment you made. Hope this helped you learn a little bit more. If you got questions, be sure to comment down below, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe my videos. If you got other questions, contact Humminbird customer service. Those people down there can give you a lot of support and help, or visit your local Humminbird dealer. Most of them have this equipment and have it in stock. And be sure to buy from your local Humminbird dealer, because he can help you get all the accessories you need to make it easier to rig the first time the right way and get more enjoyment when you spend your time on the water. Thank you, and tune in next time.